Hey guys, what is up, smart people? Welcome to a brand new segment I call Witty Conversations with Mpho. Thank you. So this brand new series will be a combination of meeting interesting people as invited guests, where we'll be discussing everything from physics, mathematics, politics, history, accounting, finance. Doesn't matter. Could be anything. So if you want to be on the next segment, please tell me, hit me up on the socials and subscribe to the channel. Okay? So today we have a very, very special guest. He's a very good friend of mine, and he's very, very smart. I can't wait for you guys to meet him. So let's welcome to the show Edward Nkadimeng. So Ed, tell me, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm surviving.
Surviving?
Yeah, surviving.
As we all are. I know you personally, but for my guests, for my viewers,
Of course.
they don't know who you are. Tell us something. Who are you?
Okay. So my name is Edward, as you've already mentioned. I'm a PhD student of physics. So I'm studying here at Wits, and that's just where I am.
So what kind of physics are you doing?
I'm doing particle physics, where we study the smallest subatomic particles. So what we do is we have this huge instrument that can detect, particles at a very small scale. And what we do is we collide these particles. So we have a hydrogen gas, we split two protons, and we have an anti-clockwise where it's turning, and another one in a clockwise direction. And they meet at a particular point where, they just collide and split into very small particles. And that's what I do. I study the nature of those particles. Wow. That's the nature of my work.
That is amazing. So tell me, you are doing a PhD in physics, but why physics out of all fields?
Yeah, that's a very tough question. So it all started, as far as I can remember, in probably when I was 9 years old. I think I was in grade 5, 6, somewhere around there, where one of the teachers asked us to, make a bridge in a technology class. And we just had to design our own. And, we had a lot of different materials. Some came with cardboards, some came with wood. So there's a very variety on how you can do things. That's what I saw when I started. So what I did was, for my first project, which was the bridge, this is as far as I can remember. It was a very interesting design that I made it out of plastic. And you can ask yourself, how?
Plastic? How?
Plastic.
That's so strange.
Yeah, it's very strange. But then we have this very unusual plastic where we can just cut it to, it's like a polymer. It's a very different type of plastic where it's a resin plastic. I think you almost see it every day now.
Yeah, I've seen
it's 3D plastics. And it was the first time I think the teacher saw it. And I think that's where I enjoyed, making my own things.
Wow. I remember I did technology at school, and I hated it.
I hate
it. Yeah, the thing is, me, I'm a theorist, so I've always been into the mathematics side of physics, and building things has never been my thing. So a lot of people might ask you this, building things, bridges, wouldn't that sway you to more engineering side than physics?
Oh yeah, that's a very interesting question, and I've always thought about this. There's a very fine line between, with physics, it's very fundamental. We start from the basic building blocks, and we study essentially the matter of, we have the table here, but we all know why we can't get through the table with our own hands. So the materials that are inside the table constitute the design of it. So that's why I wanted to go deeper inside, just to study the fundamental particles or the fundamental atoms that build up certain things.
So tell me, the particle nature of physics, why that? What makes it so interesting to you?
Well, let's look at it like this. We have the SKA, right, which studies the large scale objects. And then we have the LHC on the side, which studies the smallest scales. At some points, they do actually meet because we're trying to figure out one thing, the origin of mass. And wherever we look at, we'll essentially come back towards, a certain point where we can agree upon. So we need people who can study the large scales.
That's me.
That's you, of course. And us who can study the small scales. And that's where I'm at right now.
Did you have like any idea of what physics is, what particle physics was at the time?
Oh yeah, essentially from grade 7, I always knew what natural sciences was. We were trying to understand what constitutes everything and what makes up everything. So from that particular point, I think I started taking a liking to natural sciences, mathematics, how to calculate certain things.
From your perspective, what makes someone be successful, get to a point where you are doing a PhD in physics? What does it take?
I think more attitude-wise, I think your attitude plays a huge role in how you look at things. Because obviously, if you're looking at a certain subject and you're like, but this, I don't really enjoy it. Then move forward. But
keep on going.
Keep on going. But if you encounter something and say, but I want to solve this, what's going on here? And I just need to finish this and complete it. And then you see the fruits of the, completing something and say, this is the right answer.
I really like that. I really, really do. I think for me, I'd say, like doing physics is, again, as you might know, it's very challenging, very challenging. It requires people that are very strong at heart, strong at will, and strong at passion. Like passion goes a long way, and passion is the only difference that will make you think like, this is such a difficult course, I don't want to, and saying, this is such a difficult course, I can't wait to get to understand it better, you understand?
Of course.
And I really like that. But for now, I think, let's hear a word from our sponsor, and we'll come back after a very short break.
Hey, are you tired of real doors cluttering up your house where you open them and you actually go somewhere and you go into another room? Get on down to Real Fake Doors. That's us. Fill a whole room up with them. See, watch. Check this out. Won't open. Won't open. Not this one. Not this one. None of them open. FakeDoors.com is our website, so check it out for a lot of really great deals on fake doors.
Bringing it back. So, Edward, where did you go to uni initially?
After grade 12, I actually applied to a number of institutions, right? I just wanted to be away home. And I applied to the UFS, Cape Town, and I think there was one more, but I just can't remember right now. So UFS accepted me first, and I just decided, you know what, this might be it. Let me just leave. I traveled such a long distance. Imagine from Mpumalanga to the Free State.
Nice. And how was that experience?
I think once I got through, the first year, it was the beginning of, greater things, I feel. Because once you manage that first step, second year and third year, at least you somehow find your footing. You pretty much know where everything is. You won't struggle with a lot of things, maybe just the module.
Which courses did you take for second year?
It was just predominantly physics and math. So it was calculus and algebra and electrodynamics, modern physics as well was there, classical mechanics was there. So all these very fundamental modules of physics, which you can't really escape.
Of course, I think second year introduces you to what physics really is, because you move from the fundamentals, so the transition between high school and first year, still doing your basic stuff like Newton, thermodynamics,
motions,
the basic physics stuff. So moving forward, right now you're going to third year. What happened? Give us a brief overview of that.
Okay, so before third year, I was actually invited to just attend like a workshop, like a 3-week workshop in the US.
Wow, that's
and
amazing.
before that, it was sort of, a leadership seminar where we just discuss what normal students do in universities. So they picked randomly at one point, and then we went through this whole interview process and so forth and so on. And we went there. I went to Clark University.
Nice. For you, this workshop, what did you learn? What did you come out of it with?
Yeah, a lot of things. For one, I think it was public speaking. I wasn't really a public speaker.
Yeah.
And with science, there's not a lot of science communicators who can explain science in a certain way that people can understand.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the problems that we have as
in South Africa. Right?
Yeah, in South Africa.
And that's why I'm doing this YouTube channel, by the way, so we can express our ideas out there to the masses. So, okay. So I want to know, so after you graduated after your 3rd year, right?
Yeah.
And you moved. Where did you move to and why?
Okay, so I had 1 year where I was out. I worked at SASTA.
Oh, is it? Wow.
Yeah, I took up an internship at SASTA. It's called the South African Agency of Science and Technology Advancement. Yes, that's the one. I'm surprised I still even know it. Yeah, but it was a huge learning curve with that as well, where we'd go to certain places, just show them the fundamental physics that we do.
Yeah. So let's move on, Ed. Tell me, you moved to Wits in 2018 for your honors.
Yeah.
How was it? Tell me about the Wits life.
Okay, no, Wits, I don't know if you know, is very different to any other university in the country. And what makes it different is, people expect a lot here. For you to succeed, for you to achieve certain things at a particular time period.
Yeah.
So with Wits, when I came into honors, it was a certain point I felt I was out of place in probably beginning of January, February.
Yeah.
But then I met you guys and I thought, okay, no, maybe it's not just me struggling.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I met one of the smartest people ever in my entire life. I've never really met such people ever.
Wow. I mean, I know exactly who you're talking about. I mean, that class was absolutely insane.
Yeah,
I mean,
madness.
It was absolutely insane. We had incredibly smart people. So the class itself was very, very competitive.
Yeah.
So tell us, what is your master's about? What is your research about? Give us a brief overview of that.
Well, so basically I coordinated myself around, the detector operations, where we're trying to power up the Atlas detector, which is like that large piece of camera that we use to take images. And where I am right now is we've designed an intricate piece of equipment where we have about 2,048 of those. We're producing here in South Africa, and basically what they do is they make sure that all the front-end electronics get powered up so that they can receive the signals and the data from the photomultiplier tubes.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So I understand that you did your master's mostly overseas.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Oh yeah. Well, overseas, I actually went to France. So we live in France. But the LHC is situated between France and Switzerland. So basically we go to Switzerland when we go to work.
What is the LHC?
Yeah, the LHC, it's the Large Hadron Collider, if I can just put it like that.
And what's the significance of colliding particles? What are we trying to achieve?
Oh yeah, as you might know, we're trying to understand the origin of mass, So what we're doing is we're studying it at a very small scale, as I've already mentioned earlier on. And the significant part on this is that once particles go into the phase where it's just plasma or really, really small particles, we get to understand what makes them, or the build up for them. So that's where we are currently, especially.
So you stayed in France for most of your masters, or
Yeah.
and,
No.
did you have to go to like the LHC, and what was the experience like?
Oh yes, yeah, it was a fun experience because we have to do a lot of data quality shifts just to make sure that everything we're taking is, top notch. It's not just gibberish or nonsense. So we have to do a lot of shifts, maintenance as well. Make sure that the detector is upgraded to meet any technical specifications, which might be, in terms of certain safety rules. So there's like guidelines that they stipulate that we need to meet.
I'm very interested in the LHC a lot. So for viewers that do not know what the LHC can do, you've tried to explain, like, colliding particles and stuff like that. But so, like, can you give us, like, maybe like a brief description, of what's in there? Like the moment you went inside, like the particle collider, what do you see, and what piqued your interest the most?
Okay, so already it's a huge facility because it's situated in 2 countries already. So imagine that. And it's a circular ring that runs around 27 kilometers. I'm just not sure about that, but it's about 27 kilometers, in radius. And it's a very huge piece of equipment that needs to be maintained, obviously. And it needs to work because there's a lot of money that went into that project. And a lot of effort and manpower that goes into that as well. So when I go down there, it's like going underground. But once you get there, obviously you'll have to be doing something specifically towards maintaining or upgrading the current LHC.
I see.
So picture it as an underground tunnel.
And you have this very interesting, cool picture that I will show on the screen right now, where like you're looking at like data being transferred. Tell us more about that. What do we see like here?
Oh yeah, that's very interesting. I actually know the picture you're talking about. So what it is there's with every LHC or detector, there has to be cables that run through, obviously, that transmits that data. Maybe it could be in large instances or short intervals. So with what that does is it sends the data in very short amounts of time, and to that effect you can actually see it to some particular point.
That is amazing.
Imagine physicists trying to analyze all that data, and it keeps coming on and on every single year.
Yeah, and that brings me, you mentioned the SKA earlier on. Like it brings me to this idea of big data, which is the next big thing going on. The SKA itself, once functional, I'll make a very detailed video about the SKA, so look forward for that. But once it's functional, we can get like a lot of data running in a second, and like that requires a lot of skill to deal with that. Understand? So did you have like to gain any particular skill that you can be able to work with that?
No, obviously, like I learned a lot because there's plenty of scientists in CERN, plenty of experts, technicians, engineers, people who actually know what they're doing. And like besides that, you'd find that these people are already geniuses in their own level, so they actually know what's going on. To answer your question, rather, there's going to be huge amounts of data everywhere from now on, like not just the LHC or the SKA. We're trying to extract data from literally everything, and we can't do it ourselves. Like we can never really analyze every single bit of data that we have, so we need tools like your PCs to try and to some extent try and resolve this data problem.
And that's what we do. A lot of people don't know this, but as physicists we spend more time coding more than anything else. So learning about how to code, how to deal with data is such an essential tool moving forward in the future. We saw this article where, you know, like our school celebrated you and your fellow students, colleagues, in achieving success and at the LHC at CERN. Tell us more about that. It's very interesting.
Oh yeah. So it was actually beginning of this year, just after COVID. They were trying to restructure the working group for our low voltage power supplies. So I've been working on it for the past year, close to a year now. And basically what happened was they needed conveners, people who understood the methods that we were using and who could be able to produce and manufacture these things.
Yeah.
And only to find I was probably one of the few people that were there and were able to understand these pieces of instruments.
That's amazing.
And that's how I got the co-convenership for...
What does that entail? What does it mean? You know?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of admin towards it, obviously. And it's trying to organize a team, a huge team of different people, obviously from professors to technicians to engineers, to consolidate on a similar plan or an idea moving forward. So what we're trying to do now is to make sure that what we have now is reliable and can last inside the detector for about 20 years, because that's how long the LHC is going to be running for the next time we, you know, turn it back on. So we're trying to make sure that these low voltage power supplies are really reliable and can last that full, you know, tenure of 20 years. And that's the main goal right now.
That's really amazing. So, I mean, you're literally at the forefront, you know, like you are organizing, you are leading people towards the next frontier of the LHC. And I think for me that is really, really amazing to be able to talk to you right now. Speaking of frontiers, tell me about the next frontier. What's next? We found the Higgs boson, very big achievement from the LHC. What's next? What can we probe further with new instrumentations and detectors?
Of course, the Higgs was just the start, I think. There's still a lot that we can learn from, you know, the Higgs boson itself, and potentially finding other lepton or quarks and gluons and so forth. So it's just still the beginning. There's still
and maybe
a lot
we
more.
Can find dark matter.
Of course.
We need to understand what dark matter is.
Yeah, we need to.
I think maybe in the next 20 years, as you say, with the combination of the SKA and the LHC, we can find dark matter, the nature of dark matter itself. Yeah. So before we close this, Ed, do you have any words of encouragement, inspiration to the younger generation looking towards you as the next great physicist? You know.
Okay. Of course. So I feel like with people, if they're always asking questions, then to some extent they are physicists, because they're trying to, you know, find an answer to that question. So they're probing as much as possible to find the answers to that questions. And at some points, I think people do give up because of, you know, the complexity of the problem. But for those who don't give up, then I'm talking to those particular people, never give up. And that's my message to them.
Keep on going. You've heard it first here. So with that, I'd like to close, and I'd like to thank you for being here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I've learned a lot from you, and I'm pretty sure my viewers as well have learned a lot from you. They will come out of this knowing a lot. I think we'd like to close this by saying thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing if you did, and if you haven't, please like, subscribe.
Of course.
And if you know anyone, or if you want to be in the next segment of Witty Conversations with Mpho. Again, you can leave a comment down below. Again, the notification bell as well for more videos like this in the future. And with that, I'd like to leave it there, and thank you so much.